Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email concierge for your questions about this or any other watch. Email me for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a 2021 model year limited edition of 10 pieces in grade 5 titanium. This is the Bethune DB28 Steel Wheels Tourbillon Sapphire. Based on the previous steel wheels model, this one opens up the dial of the watch even more while adding a tourbillon regulator, spectacular at 43 millimeters in diameter. It's actually a lot thinner than you'd suspect. At only 11.6 millimeters thick, it has variable geometry, spring-loaded floating lugs to better fit your wrist. They vary from 55 millimeters lug-to-lug to a compressed distance of 51 millimeters lug-to-lug, and the space between them is 26 millimeters. De Bethune of L'Auberson is an exclusive brand. They make about 200 to 220 watches a year, and they've built fewer than 3,000 since their inception in 2002. This watch wears beautifully. It is large, but it's more broad than heavy or thick. As you can see, it does actually sit low enough to slide underneath the cuff, and I can tell you that on this lug size, which is considered to be the intermediate lug span at De Bethune, the DB28 would wear well on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. Again, mine is 16 centimeters circumference. You can get a good sense of how big it is. Very light in grade 5 titanium. It benefits from grade 5 titanium's characteristics, which include lighter weight than steel, but also greater hardness and scratch resistance. The strap, as you can see, features gator on both sides, small round scale on the bottom, large rectangular scale on the top, navy blue, matte finish, monotone stitch, folded edge, and you will wonder why, perhaps, the watch has gator on both sides. And the reason for that is that gator is more durable than calfskin. So when you put gator on the bottom of a strap, that will ensure that the strap lasts longer. It costs a bit more, but it's worth it. With a watch like this, you don't pinch pennies. Now, taking a look at the buckle, you can see that it has a little bit of the airy, open, sculptural profile of the lugs themselves, and you can really see that there is a lot of design parallelism there. There are little conical bullet-like tips to the lugs, the ogival endpoints. That's the last design vestige of the original 2002 DB1 chronograph, those little points at the end of the lugs. So you can see that the watch is a bullhead winder with a screw-down crown that's doubly knurled, and it's 30 meters water resistant, but it's a stout 30 because it is a screw-down. And you can also see that the watch features a little De Bethune nameplate down at 6 o'clock rather than marring the dial up top. The watch features a dial that is entirely black polished, and I mean almost its entirety. There's a plate over the motion works at center that's been black polished, and then we have a plate over the base plate that's in titanium grade 5. It has been black polished. It's ringed by a blue ring, which is fired blue titanium. So De Bethune has a process they've patented for bluing titanium. You can see some titanium blue components on the tourbillon, but also in that ring that surrounds the dial. The individual hours are represented by cabochons or globes of polished titanium, and then we have little serrations in the chapter ring that mark the minutes. The hands at center, you can see them, a combination of polish and blued titanium, and they trace the outer arc. There is a bridge over the barrels, which you can see is a combination of mirrored beveling in metallic finish on the edge, and that's all metallic. And then you can see that the center of the bridge, which actually contains the pivots, so a mechanical component, not merely decorative, but the center of the deltoid bridge is actually made of sapphire, blued sapphire. It's metal on the outside, metal on the inside frame, but then in between blued sapphire bearing the twin barrels. The twin mainspring barrels give the watch a 5-day power reserve, and because of the fact that they are self-adjusting and compensating, you cannot accidentally overwind this watch. So if you do wind it excessively, the mainspring will just slip and relieve excess strain. You can see there is a fully black polished bridge for the tourbillon. De Bethune's tourbillon is comprised of a combination of materials adding up to 0.18 gram. That's right. That is 18 hundredths of a gram. It is the lightest tourbillon in the world, and it moves at twice the speed. As you can see, it's making a circuit every 30 seconds rather than the conventional wristwatch tourbillon 1 minute. Now, it beats away at 36,000 vibrations per hour, which is the same as a Zenith L Primera. You can see it has a flat hairspring, but it's two elements clamped together and bent by hand, so it breathes concentrically in any physical position like an overcoil. There's also a proprietary silicone escape wheel to reduce friction, improve timekeeping, and extend power reserve. De Bethune tourbillon watches watches are attested to run no worse than plus or minus 1 second per day. And because the watch does have an extended power reserve and it is a manual wind, you can keep track of that power reserve for caliber 2019 V5 on the reverse side, where you can see the underlying mechanism of the power reserve as well as a power reserve indicator. A gorgeous combination of beveling on the back with mirror polished screws, tight perlage engine turning, and then satination. Every square millimeter of this watch is finished traditionally, so don't be too taken by the avant-garde style. They finish watches very traditionally at Bethune, and they make their own dials, cases, and movements, so everything's executed in-house. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.